So the Emperor card we're going to do now. And when the Emperor comes up in a reading, there's a major representation of the real or the physical world made manifest. So this card has the number 4, and it suggests the square, the 4 square. It represents the materialized universe of substance and structure. He is a concept of reality and a representation of goals and ideas achieving form. Numerous symbols in this trump suggest that something has become real or reached actualization. The trump is ruled by the first astrological sign. It represents Aries, indicating the springtime of the year. Spring is a season of outward growth and renewal. These represent the growth and renewal of actions towards the external world that we want to live. So this card represents the conscious minds organizing matter and is symbolized by the return in the tarot sequence to a male character. But now the masculine figure, the magician, has matured, indicating that the seeker's plan or goal is coming of age. The red is the power color in this card, is predominant, and it represents energy, passion, action, outgoing, aggressive qualities that show the desired goal or manifested result, and that it has been intensely acted upon and successfully completed or concluded. So the mountains in the back represent the solid formation. And it's all about control when it comes to the Emperor. This card means authority, regulation, organization, and fatherness. So a lot of times it represents fathers and grandfathers in the spirit world. Now remember, the Emperor is a major arcana card. So not only does it hold the power of all of the 4s of the tarot, but it also holds universal power. And so when we are able to tap into the universal power that does have the power to control, to have authority, organization, leadership, confidence, then we actually represent a I can't say it, strategic thinker who sets out plans that he must see through. So the Emperor is a manifestation card. And whenever that comes up in a reading, it's letting you know, or the seeker, the person you're reading know, that they need to stay on track, that this is something that is important. And so these plans, exactly how they're going about it, should keep going. Keep putting that effort in. But it also represents the masculine principle, which is protective. And the figure in the Emperor represents that protection, that protective figure in life that gives structure to us, that helps us see our morals, creates rules, systems, and also gives us certain aspects of knowledge when we are trying to create a plan or strategize certain areas in our life. where the Empress's desire for her kingdom is to create happiness. So the Emperor desires to foster honor and discipline. And if you look at the Emperor, he's wearing a crown. So in this card, he actually represents a king, some kind of leader. Maybe he's a general because he is wearing armor. But he actually represents the Roman god Mars, the warrior who has fought in life and succeeded. He is the Egyptian god Mentu, a hawk-headed war god. He is a part of every person who stands strong and authors his own destiny. So whenever this comes up, it means that their plans are coming to pass. Like things, yes, it's going to happen. The Emperor's appearance in a reading also represents the manifestation or the outward result of what the seeker is planning or what their goal is. It also represents successful management and administration. And those are qualities the seeker may be expressing in personal or even professional life. But the reason this faculty is attributed to the Emperor, whereas the Empress has the force of love, and the High Priestess indicates subconscious powers, the Emperor card implies observing the outside world. Analyze it, draw conclusions, and these conclusions are in a logical manner. When you deal with the Emperor in a reading, advise the seeker to use the powers of analysis, strategy, planning, and reason to attain the management and the growth and the manifestation of what they are currently focused on. The Emperor is now included as an indicator card in our readings. So if you're practicing your readings, you can now use the Emperor when you're reading for a man. So if he's an older man, the Emperor might come up, or you can pick it out and use him. So remember that this card represents leadership, ability, emotional maturity, control, responsibility, self-reliance, self-sufficiency, and independence. And he may represent a self-made man or a man who desires to be self-made. But remember, even though this is showing a male, and in the readings it usually represents a male, when we're doing readings for ourselves, it does represent our masculine aspect that's in play and in power. So this also represents the ability to be a responsible father. Sometimes we need to take on that role, even if we're female. Or it may be connecting to your father. It could be representing a grandfather. It could represent a spirit or an ancestor. Sometimes it will also come up as an authority figure. So when you're looking at the reading and the Emperor comes up, there's some kind of authority figure, possibly a boss, some kind of official, maybe a husband or a father, that this card is going to represent. And it personifies the father or the responsibility, including the functions of directing, controlling, and decision-making. This Emperor is proud of what he has made out of his life and is now involved in the governing management of his success. So his seated position indicates dominion and rulership after his efforts have been completed. You'll notice that the background on the Rider-Waite deck is orange. And the Emperor is one of the only few cards that have orange in it like this, in the steep mountains and sky behind his throne. And this is this energy. Orange represents being able to overcome difficult challenges. So that orange represents difficult challenges to be overcome by a force of will. So whatever is surrounding them is where they need to focus their willpower in. And a lot of times it also represents fire, as well as a mixture of air and fire. So those two elements can come into play in your reading. Fire is the passion, and air and yellow is the future. So it makes sense for that. And the red in the garment actually represents the power of life. It represents action and passion and inspiration and energy. And it also represents blood. Blood as a warm, life-giving substance. So Mercury, Mars are also the astrological fire signs that this can represent. But the red represents a passion for life. Also anger. It also represents lust, our animalistic urges, which is also one reason why the lion in the strength card is sometimes colored red in different tarot. So in the Rider-Waite, the Empress sits on red drapes and pillows, a reference to her creation and menstruation and fertility power, where the Emperor is also red, representing his strong will and masculinity associated with the power of will. The other thing is you'll see that on the throne, it has the heads of 4 rams, representing, again, Aries. In one hand, he's carrying a scepter that represents his reign. He has the right to rule. And in the other hand, he's holding an orb, which represents a symbol of the kingdom that he's watching over. The long beard of the emperor represents his experience. Over time, he has learned so much about what it takes to rule, to establish power, authority, and to complete order for the benefit, for the good things of himself and his people. And so he has behind him the barren mountains of his determination, his ambition for greater heights, and the ability to lead to that capacity. And it's pretty interesting because when it comes up in a reading and it has to do with relationship, it means that, their relationship is traditional. They use logic and love, but it also represents unexpressed emotions. In a career, or if it's got to do with money, then it represents creating a process or a structure. There's some kind of discipline or routine. Maybe they need a mentor until they get things into a habitual structure that it becomes easy. And when it comes up about finances, like money, then the emperor means that they need to be disciplined about their money right now. But the power behind is creating rules and discipline and having that strong foundation where the growth can just keep happening.